Hello everyone, dear learners, colleagues, and scholars. Welcome to this course on research foundations. In this course, we will break down research into clear, manageable concepts from research philosophy and methodology to identifying a strong research problem and purpose. The goal is to help you understand how research works in practice and to build confidence as you move forward in your academic or professional research journey. As you can see, this mini course is titled Understanding the Basics for Implementing Research to Any Field of Study. So let's begin. Let's begin with the course objectives. So by the end of this course, learners will be able to understand the foundations and philosophy of research, be able to distinguish between research paradigms, approaches, and methodologies, identify and formulate a clear, researchable problem and purpose statement, critically review and synthesize scholarly literature, select appropriate research designs and methods. So let's begin with something which is very important to understand in your journey, which is research. As you can see, research could be defined as a systematic process of inquiry that aims to discover, unveil, interpret, and revise the truth and facts. A research investigation produces and develops a great knowledge of facts, actions, behaviors, theories, and laws. The term research also refers to a collection of information about a particular topic and is usually related with science and the scientific method. As you can see, we have types of research are classified by either process or purpose. Well, purpose of the research, which is the reason why it was conducted, and the process of the research, which is the way in which the data were collected and analyzed. So this is important to understand before you even start your research journey. Following that, we have the research process. As you can see, that any research process which will be conducted for any research topic requires or follows specific stages. Therefore, it is important to state that the research process is characterized by a series of structural procedures. So these stages may vary according to requirements of a particular research topic or field. However, the below image summarizes the main steps that are considered while entering in a research process for any research project within any area of concentration, like education, business, etc. So again, the structure progression, which research follows a systematic sequence of stages. And here, ensuring the quality, this structure process is crucial for ensuring the validity and reliability of findings, maintaining coherence throughout. So as you can see in this image or picture, you can see that the research process begins with an idea, which that refine the data or the idea. State research question. This is the first step you have to make. So you have to state your research question statement, state it on one sentence, then specific aim and objectives. You should have specific objective for your research. Then you start with the literature review, and then you select the methodology, devise the data collection methods, you gather data, analyze the data, draw conclusions, and finally complete write-up of the thesis or the report. Well, let's begin with the methodology. Well, you should understand what methodology is first. So the term methodology refers to the principles, methods, procedures, rules that the researcher uses to analyze, evaluate, and interpret the selected data and information. The choice of a methodology depends on the research objectives, discipline, and requirements of the particular research topic. So the aim of the research method is to produce new knowledge. According to Gray 2013, a research method may take four of the following terms. We have exploratory research method, descriptive research method, constructive research method, and empirical research method. Well, the first one, which is the exploratory, as you can see, it is used to enable the investigation of a clearly identifiable problem which was not studied in the past. While the descriptive research method is used to describe characteristics of a population or phenomenon being studied, and the constructive research and the empirical research both are used to identify and develop solutions, to a clearly identifiable problem, which are used to test the feasibility of a solution, with empirical data. However, a research methodology is based on one of the three following. Let's see the three following. Here we have research approaches. We have quantitative research, qualitative research, and mixed methods research, which sometimes we call it triangulation. Well, let's begin with the quantitative research. Well, the quantitative research approach is an approach for testing objective theories by examining the relationship, if there is any, among variables. These variables in turn can be measured or quantified based on different quantitative research tools, for example, questionnaires, so that number data can be analyzed using statistical procedures, like regression analysis, for example. We're going to talk about this later. Synthesis research approach aims to examine any relationship that exists among two or more variables. It is also known as correlation design or research. Well, the second one, the second approach is qualitative research. And from the name, qualitative research is an approach that aims to explore or investigate the human interaction in regard to, you can say, a social or human problem or issue that is being observed. This approach collects, analyzes, and interprets data in order to provide further understanding and meaning of what people do or say. Finally, we have the mixed methods research or triangulation. In a mixed research methodology, the researcher combines different quantitative and qualitative research data while using mixed method research. So the researcher here aims to practice triangulation by checking the results from any relevant angle. In a triangulation, the researcher permits the features identification of a phenomenon more precisely by approaching it from different critical facts using different methods and techniques, like, for example, the combination of interviews and questionnaire surveys. Well, let's move on to the philosophy of research, which is also an important step in your research journey. Well, the philosophy of research here explores the context of educational research. It sets out a number of different foundations in which the empirical research is constructed. As you can see, the context and assumptions, which provides the context and assumptions guiding empirical research. We have two main traditions here, informed by two main traditions. We have scientific or positivist, we have naturalistic and interpretivist. So, as Hitchcock and Hughes in 1995 suggest, we have here logical sequence. The first one is ontological assumptions, which give rise to later on, which is epistemology or epistemological assumptions. These in turn give rise to methodology or methodological considerations, and these in turn give rise to issues of instrumentation and data collection. This is based on Hitchcock and Hughes 1995. Now let's move on to something also very, very important in your journey of research, which is the reviewing literature. When reviewing the literature is a very, very important chapter or step in your research journey. In this chapter, which is called literature review, so simply it reviews survey books, scholarly articles, and any other sources relevant to a particular issue or area of research, or even theory. And by so doing, provides a description, summary, and critical evaluation of these works in relation to the research problem being investigated. Well, literature reviews are designed to provide an overview of sources you have explored while researching a particular topic and to demonstrate to readers how your research fits within a larger field of study. All of this is according to Finke et al. 2014. Well, let's talk about literature review summary versus synthesis. Well, we can say here that literature review may consist of simply a summary of key sources. But in the social sciences, a literature review usually has an organizational pattern and combines both summary and synthesis, often within specific conceptual categories. For example, a summary is a recap of the important, information of a source, but a synthesis is a reorganization, or you can say a reshuffling of that information in a way that informs how you are planning to investigate a research problem. The analytical features of a literature review might, for example, give you, number one, an interpretation or reinterpretation of old, material, or combine new with old interpretations. Also, it could trace the intellectual progression of the field, including major debates, depending on the situation, evaluate the sources and invite the reader on the most pertinent or relevant research, or even usually in the conclusion of a literature review, identify where gaps exist in how a problem has been researched to date. Well, why is it important? What's the purpose of literature review? Well, as you can see here, situate studies. Well, it places each work in the context of its contribution to understanding the research problem being studied. Describe the relationship of each work to the others under consideration. To identify new ways to interpret prior research. It's also important to reveal any gaps that exist in the literature, to resolve conflicts amongst seemingly contradictory previous studies, identify areas of prior scholarship to prevent the duplication of effort, to point the way in fulfilling a need for additional research, and to locate your own research within the context of existing literature, which is very, very important.